Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brimstone Plays Actraiser. Well, I hope you guys had sufficient rest, as I. We're going to get to the second aspect of this game. As I explained before, there's both a top-down aspect, and then there's this aspect, which plays a lot like SimCity or more like Populous. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm using miracles. This particular one is lightning. I just used it to blast a bat into oblivion and burn a bunch of bushes. Although I don't get the flaming... well, I did get a blue flame effect. Never understood what it was with, you know, gods and burning bushes and stuff like that. Burning effigies in general. And I'm going to clear out this spot as well. So, here's how the basic, this section works. You play as the cherubim. I'm going to name him Bob from now on, because he looks like a Bob and it's easier to say. Now, Bob can use miracles in order to clear areas. Other miracles have different effects, we'll see that later. Bob can also shoot arrows at the monsters here, which is very important because monsters can, you know, do effects to your city, you know, capture people, kill them, blow up buildings, you know, being a general nuisance. You do have a life bar, or Bob has a life bar, however, Bob can never die. Once you go down to 0 health, you lose the power to shoot arrows and your town becomes vulnerable for a while. However, if you look at the top, there's an hourglass. And, oh, hold on, unexpected call. Oh, excellent! We can now shut down monster lairs, which is the general idea. Well, there's two general ideas you want to do with the top-down perspective. A, you generally want to build up population, you know, build a huge-ass city, you know, a la SimCity, you know, stuff like that. I hate the blue dragons. Anyway, the other thing is you want to lead your people using the guide button. You basically choose a hex, that's where they go next, and you know, so on and so forth. And once you get to a monster lair, you click on it and they'll actually attempt to seal it. As I will show here. Just move where the yellow square is, and that's where the people will go to next. So, a lot of micromanagement's been shaded because, you know, people build their own houses and, you know, stuff. You don't have to worry about water or power or stuff like, you know, building that sort of stuff. And blue dragons blew up her stuff. They said, blue dragon's probably the more annoying, well, the more dangerous of the bunch. They can, you know, destroy buildings, kill people directly, and they do like 3 points of damage to Bob. The bats just act like landers from Defender, and oh, we got some monks or, you know, religious figures, and they just shut down the monster lair. And they found something in the monster lair. Strange bow and some arrows. Ah. Now, let me go ahead and go access that. You go down to offerings, miracles, there you go. Take an offering. Now more offerings will become available to you. This type of offering is a single-use, you know, it works for a short time. In this case, you can strengthen the angel, or Bob, I should say. See? Now I can actually one-shot the blue dragons as opposed to taking 3 shots. Like I said, this only works for a short time, though. There's another type which is permanent bonuses. I'll explain that when we get to it. And just building directions. So as you can see, it's very simplistic, a lot easier to manage than you know, SimCity and the other simulation games. What's really interesting is with the bats and enemies you have to fight and kill, it gives you kind of an RTS strategy to it as well, because you know, their lairs constantly respawn enemies. Now there's other monster types besides the bats and dragons, but we'll get to them as we go to the different areas. Now, as I explained before, you want to our goal is twofold. We want to shut down all the monster lairs, which will allow us to actually proceed to the next act. Hold on. Another phone call. Okay. Something holy radiating through the woods east of here. Interesting. We'll save that for future reference. As I was saying, you want to there's two acts. You have the top-down, the side-scrolling perspective. Once you clear that, you get this perspective, you restore the land, and after you steal all the monster layers, the second act shows up. You can kill the final boss of that area, and then move on to the next area. Lather, rinse, repeat, till we get to the end. Now, the second aspect of the game is... more phone calls. Oh shit, fire's broken out. So, we gotta use our miracles to put down the fire. Okay. Wow. Who needs fire department when you got us, huh? Man, switch... Well... yes, people are silly. Yeah, they start a fire and then they beg us to extinguish it. Yeah, I guess that is adoring and at least entertaining. Watch people think they know what to do and then, cry help afterwards. Whatever floats your boat, Bob. Anyway, the second aspect is, if you notice we have a population number. Once we get to a certain threshold, we gain levels. As you see here. Our HP is 9 and we get stronger. And we lose our arrows though. So yeah, instead of actually killing enemies to gain levels, you actually build up your populations and towns. Very interesting aspect. But oddly enough, it works. This was a really good game. I'll explain more about the history of this game, since I pretty much explained all you really need to do in terms of the top-down perspective for now. This game was made back in 1990, 1991. It was actually kind of a launch title for the Super Nintendo. It was one of the first games to come out. While Enix did publish it, published it, Quintet was the actual people that made it. Now, Quintet is known for such games as Soul Blazer, which came a year after this, or a year or 2 years after this. Illusion of Gaia, which is the one that people probably know the most from Quintet, and Terranigma, which was actually Europe only. Now, I mentioned these three because they're usually tied in with as a one series. Actraiser, while they do have some links with Soul Blazer, like the Master show, the name the Master shows up again and whatnot, and yeah, religious annotations. They are different series, and Prices of Magic in a Rocks Southeast Parapus. I know where that is. I'll show you where that is later too. Anyway, so yeah, what's interesting to note about the Quintet games is all the ones I mentioned really deal with religious annotations. As you can tell, there's a lot of Judeo-Christian, flavors and ties with this. God damn it. So that's what the bats do. They frickin' act like landers. Stupid dragons. Man, being God is hard, isn't it? So yeah, I'll explain more about, that sort of stuff and, little quirks with Quintet later. But this is a really good game. The music, as I mentioned before, is done by Yuzo Koshiro, and for an early game, not a lot of NES games actually this is probably one of the best NES soundtracks Super NES soundtracks, easily up there at the top 20. This has actually had its own orchestral remix, or orchestral arrangement. And, the statue, yes. The statue is actually the Holy Hand Ingredient of Antioch. We, basically, activate it, it blows up all the flying enemies on screen. Of course, the enemies come back, so it's useful in a pinch, but, you know, generally, eh. So anyway, that's pretty much how this system works. Now I'm going to be skipping a lot of these scenes, you know, just showing you the monster ceilings when we find certain items and general tips of how to get past the level, but I'm going to skip that for time's sake, and speaking of times, all the time I have. So until next time, it's Lord Brimstone. Have a good day, and see you next time.